Alright, so I spent a lot of sleepless nights thinking, how do I become the best version of myself and leave my mark on the world? To answer this, I decided to ask exceptional people who have or are on the journey of doing just that. When you have big dreams, it's easy to just fantasize about them and live vicariously through your idols. But that's not how I want to live. So if you feel the same way, this podcast will show you how to make your dreams look more like goals by showing you how founders, creators, and game changers did it. You'll learn about their habits, mindsets, and strategies so you can stop dreaming and start dream making. I'm Braith, and this is ex-vicarious. Welcome to another episode of ex-vicarious. I'm Braith, and today I'm joined by Rita Kim, the founder of Mochi Donuts. I came across Rita when I saw her interview Vince Vaughn on stage at an event a couple months ago, and have been really excited to delve into her journey with building a delicious company ever since. So, Rita, how are you today?
Hi, Brave. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, doing great, man. Actually got some Mochi Donuts right
Oh,
here.
sweet. Oh,
Yeah,
cool. What flavor did you get?
I ended up getting Biscoff. I know you said that it's the
That's the
most
best flavor, and that's
popular.
what Vince Vaughn said was good as well. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I usually get matcha, but I was just at the North Sydney store. They didn't have it today, so I was like, Biscoff it is then.
yeah. Our flavors rotate every week. So
Yeah,
matcha is one of the rotating flavors. So you gotta be able to check our social media out to see what flavor we have that week.
yeah, fair enough. Got to catch it at the right time. Okay, just wanted to start off asking you, what's the earliest dream you remember having that stayed with you to this day? So it could have been in your childhood or any time previously, but yeah, just a dream that stayed with you to this day.
Dream.
Yeah.
I have always wanted to be a singer.
Okay.
Well, I'm not a singer now, but I'm still following my music path separately from business.
Yeah.
So I have a music coach, I have vocal training coach, I have a speaking coach actually. They're
Yeah.
separate coaches.
Okay.
So that's one of my dream. But also as a child, I have always have this idea that I want to be free from the 9 to 5
Hmm.
uh, lifestyle. So I wouldn't say it's a very what do you call it? I wouldn't say it's a glamorous dream as in like it's all fun and want to be singer and model. It's a bit boring like business. I want to have a business. I want to be financially free.
Yeah.
It's a very practical dream. Yeah, but being a singer is also another dream of mine. I even tattoo the treble clef. I'm not sure if you can see it
All right.
on my
Okay. That's all.
the
Yeah.
treble
Yeah. I
clef
see
on
it.
my wrist, just to remind myself like what I love, and it stick with me forever. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I really like that you have that reminder because personally, I actually make music myself, and
cool.
alongside like my job with social media and doing
Hmm.
podcasts, like I am still making music as well. So I've stopped putting out music for now, but so I definitely understand what you mean by like there is that dream, the more glamorous one to do with music, and then the more practical one to do with business. So yeah, I actually relate to that a lot, and I think it's awesome that you have that physical reminder of like
Hmm.
what you really want to pursue and what really gives you meaning in life. So that's awesome. So what sort of music or what sort of songs do you really like?
I've always been a house girl, specifically slap house. I didn't even
Okay.
know that's a subgenre until Spotify. You know how end of the year they tell you what
Yeah.
kind of genre you're into, and then number
Yeah.
one is slap house, and I'm like, slap house, what is slap house? But I guess that's what I've been listening to. But
Right.
nowadays I listen to techno classical.
Oh, techno
So it'll
classical.
be like,
Okay.
Canon and D, but like on a techno beat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
especially love listening to it when I go for a drive, in the outback when there's no other cars around. It's, at night or when the sunset. Like I have so many beautiful footage from my dash cam.
yeah.
And yeah, but making music wise, I guess I like nowadays, I'm very into making a bit of a rapping mix in it. I guess it's similar
Okay.
to K-pop in the sense where
Yeah.
they were
All right.
singing and then there's rapping. Yeah, so the kind of music that I'm into, when I go for a drive, is very different from the kind of music that I'm working on.
I see.
Yeah, so I guess I like I like many type of, many genres of music.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you mentioned the canon and D techno. Like for me, it's more like hardstyle, but definitely those classical hardstyle remixes. I think they're like kind of similar to the techno ones as well. It's like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
surprising how much it hits.
I know, and it gives you a different vibe as well. Like I always like classical music, like when I'm
Yeah.
stressed or in the past, when I'm stressed or when I'm, whatever feeling I'm in, I just kind of blast classical music on. It gives
Mm.
me a bit of a serial killer vibe as well. Like when you watch Hannibal Lecter
Yeah.
and as he was cooking and then there's like
Yeah,
classical
yeah.
music playing.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
have
it
seen that
somehow it give
scene.
me a
Yeah.
bit of the serial killer vibe, but somehow it kind of relaxed me. I'm not saying I'm a serial killer, but yeah,
Yeah.
but it relaxed me in a nice way. And then now that there's techno beats, you know, accompanied
Yeah.
with the classical music, it's just great. Like yeah,
I know what you mean. It's like that deep focus state where
mm,
I don't know if you've come across those like YouTube mixes, but it's like that might be where you got like the serial killer thing from. It's like sometimes it's like the mix for like villains, and then it's like all this classical.
yeah,
I know
yeah,
what you mean. Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely it helps really helps for focus for
mm,
some reason.
yeah,
But
definitely,
yeah,
yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, what are some work or life experiences that have helped you run Mochi Donuts that you didn't expect them to actually help?
Work or life experience that helped me
Yeah.
run Mochi Donuts. I would say the fact that I have traveled a fair bit, and I do notice that I have a very particular taste for food. I guess like
Okay.
I wouldn't call myself a professional foodie, but I do tend to put myself in the customer's shoes a lot
Mhm.
and trying to think what they want to taste, what kind of service they want to receive. Like I don't just slap a label Japanese donut and then just sell it. Obviously, I want to know what makes a difference. What
Yeah.
are the real Japanese donut? Because if I pay $4 for a donut, for example, I would want to get the same kind of donut that I got from Japan because I've been
Mm.
to Japan and I know that Japan has a very particular level of food quality and customer service. So I really admire that and I really aspire to be like that. And one of the facts is that our kitchen is 100% Japanese.
Okay.
So I can definitely confidently say our donuts are authentically Japanese made because they have very specific eye for details and they take pride in their work and they take pride in their products. And that is something that I'm quite confident about.
Yeah.
So I guess life experience would be, like I have experienced what it's like to taste a really good donut and to receive good customer service.
Yeah.
And I put that into my business.
Okay. Yeah. I really like that. And
Mm.
in terms of having those experiences, you said when you were a customer and you realized there was some really good service or really delicious food, are there any specific examples on places you've traveled to? Like, do you remember any particular restaurant or food chain that really gave you great service that it's been memorable to this day?
Oh, I would say for customer service, Japan is top one. And I've been to many countries in Asia and I've been to, like America and all that. I haven't been to Europe, but I find that of all the places that I've been to, Japan has been really great. Like
Yeah.
from the way even just the way they greet you at the door is very welcoming. And then, they sit you down. Actually, there's so many places, I would say there's so many places gave me the wow factor. But
Okay.
there's one place that I cannot remember now. If I remember more, I'll tell you about it. But there's
Yeah.
one place in Sydney, actually, is a Japanese restaurant.
Okay.
And I remember it was winter. I have this really nice scarf and I forgot it after I paid the bill. And then a few hours later, or maybe the next day, I can't remember, but I remember that when I came back, I was kind of 60% expected it to be gone or, somebody took it or, or the staff just throw it away or something.
Yeah.
And 40% maybe they still have it, I hope. But then when I came back, not only they still had it, but they folded it really nicely and then they like from the way they handed it back to me, I can tell that, they've been looking after it. Like,
Yeah.
so, and I'm like, that's very rare to see, because most of the time when I forgot something and I come back to the shop, it's usually gone, either umbrella or a bag of something, my shopping bag,
Mm.
whatever, most likely is gone. But I find that the Japanese staff, they brought that from Japan to another country that they go to, and then they keep
Yeah.
that, take care of the customer belongings really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I was very surprised. And there's another story, not from me, but from my sister, that it kind of stuck with me as well, that she forgot one of her very favorite keychain. It's not expensive or anything like that, and that's why it is even more surprising that it's a
Yeah.
very regular keychain, but it's kind of precious to her because somebody
Mm.
gave it to her, and I think she left it at Disneyland in Japan,
Right.
and somehow they found her contact details and they sent it all the way from Japan to Australia.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very like the level of customer service is amazing. And yeah, so I obviously, we are just a donut shop, we're not a Disneyland, anything like that. But I also want to, like give that wow customer service level to people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's really cool, and like I really like those stories. Like it's crazy that they actually sent it all the way to Australia. Um,
Yeah.
and in terms of trying to implement that wow factor, I know that you mentioned you in the kitchen, you've made sure to hire the people, like Japanese people, to make the actual mochi donut so it's
Mhm.
authentic. So when you're actually selling it at stores,
Mhm.
what are some things you have told like store members to try to do to provide that wow factor or provide that culture of showing that you really care when it comes to customer service?
I would say for our retail staff, you mean like at the
Yeah.
stores?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we also do have Japanese staff, because I know that, their their customer service level is great. But I guess the only thing that we need to work on is actually is an ongoing learning process for all of us. Is that, we need to, I would say I like how my Japanese staff are caring and, very accommodating to customer at the moment. However, as much as they try, sometimes it's the language barrier that stops them from coming across, you know, the way they want to. So it's something that I'm still trying to find the balance between great speaker, like English speaking, like great English speaker, and
Yeah.
also that level of Japanese service level. So it's something that I'm still working on at the moment.
Yeah.
But we do have continuous training within the company. There's ongoing or continuous support from the management team to
Yeah.
our retail team and to our kitchen team. We have many different groups of communication on WhatsApp, for example, that we continuously have that conversation of what to do, what should we do, in this situation, or anything like that comes to a customer, and if there's any issue. And it's not just issue, like whenever we have a great review on Google, we also share that on the group,
Yeah.
because the review will come from certain store. For example, the latest one I think we got was from, I think, World Square or Burwood, I can't remember. There's been so many message on the group,
Yeah.
but we will share that to the group and we say, great job, to that team. And then everyone we kind of support each other. We like put the nice emoticon, like, the clapping hand emoticon.
Yeah.
And we just kind of, it's not only about, training, but it's also about supporting and, giving that nice positive push. Because I like to, the way I would not handle, but the way what is another nice way to say deal or handle?
Like
the
organize or
the way I interact with my staff, like I would prefer to use positivity rather
yeah.
than strictness or making it, scary for everyone to talk to me. I
Yeah.
like to be friendly and easy to talk to, and, positivity. Like I like to push that positivity to the team, because people work better under positivity rather than negativity or pressure.
Yeah, I think that's really nice and like great way to make sure that everyone is happy together. So that's really cool.
Mm.
So one of the dreams you said, the more practical dream of how you didn't want to work a 9 to 5 and you've always wanted to find a way through that. So early on in life, were you always trying out like entrepreneurial things? So what were you doing earlier on in your career?
This is a very interesting conversation. It's getting to, we might need a glass of wine. So I have always tried to find out what kind of business I can get into. I would say the very first official business that I got was a Vietnamese banh mi. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Yeah, I
banh
do,
mi
yeah.
stand that I share with somebody else. So they have a shop and it's a bit too big for them. So they happy to share half of it to me, which was a mistake. It was a lesson that I
Mm,
learned very hard not to do business with, somebody without, something that helping me or supporting me, etc. when it comes to legal term, etc.
yeah.
I have also been trading Forex.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I self taught myself. I failed twice. When I say failed, I mean like blew my account
Mm,
twice because I was, the first time you fail, you're trying to get back into the market. You're trying to, revenge and you're going to double down,
yeah.
and which is the wrong way to do it. So the second
Mm,
time when I blew it, I learned it. And then in my mind, I always have this kind of mentality where if someone else can do it, I can do it. So
mm,
if there are
okay.
people who can trade Forex, then I can because I believe that we all are equipped with the same ability.
Yeah,
So I tend to, push myself to learn it. So I've done that since ages ago. I would say been 12 years now,
yeah.
around 12
Okay.
years. And then regarding career wise, I was in adult industry for more than 10 years. This
Right,
is where the wine needs to come in. I was in the adult industry for more than 10 years. And then after that, I was in banking.
right.
And then when COVID hit, I was like, I need to do something else again.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that entrepreneur spirit is there in me. Like I cannot work for someone for very long time.
Yeah. Okay. I really like the mindset where you said if someone else can do it, I can. And you said
Mhm.
you've had that for like the longest time, that sort of mentality. How do you think that mentality started? Like what was the earliest time you remember having that mentality, even when you were maybe just a child? Yeah, so how did that start?
How did that start? I'm not too sure, but it could start from a book. I used to read a lot.
Yeah.
It could start from, I would say it start from when I was really young because I don't even remember when was the first time I thought, or when I look at somebody and I thought, okay, they did it, and why can't I? I don't really remember, but I would say somewhere in primary school. So back then, so I was living in Vietnam for 15 years, for my first 15 years of my life. And then after 15 years, I went to Malaysia and I lived in Malaysia for 3 years.
Okay.
And then I came to Australia. And it's been 16 years since. So when I was in Vietnam around the age of 10 or 11, that was when I was introduced to music, performing on stage to be specific. And I went to audition and I got in, and then we start forming groups, etc. And then, the producer was organizing which group goes to which show, etc. And I feel like the competitiveness and that mentality of if they can go there, if they can sing that song, if they can get into that group, then I can too. And I
Mm.
guess that's what pushed me. I think that it comes from a place of either very being very curious or a place of passion and love because that's
Yeah.
what pushed me. I mean, I don't just look at everyone, who does something. I don't look at, say, for example, Elon Musk and say, oh, if he can create Tesla, then so can I. Because I
Yeah.
don't have that passion to create a car, to make a car like Tesla. So, yeah, I guess it's very selective as well. Depends on what I like. And, there's some area in my life where I push myself a lot, and there are some that I put some effort in, and I kind of take it easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the part that pushed me a lot was in business.
Right.
Yeah, so because business is my passion, then it's not just about money. It's about my ability, what I can do, the challenges that I give myself, and then the rewarding effect that come from it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of you said like when you have that mentality, if someone else can do it, I can. It has to be something that you're passionate about, and I definitely agree with that.
Mm.
In order to push yourself that hard, you have to really want it. And how did you find that passion for business? So obviously the one with the music was, being able to perform when you're in Vietnam on stage. But
Mhm.
yeah, how did the business passion actually come about?
I think this will. I think this goes back to when I first read Rich Dad Poor Dad by
Okay.
Robert Kiyosaki, because the phrase "quit the rat race" has always been stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
And reading the story, like, because in his book he wrote what his poor dad would do and what his rich dad would do. And the way that the rich dad did things, or the way that the rich dad thought, was kind of out of the box for me back then.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I didn't know you can, use debt to leverage, to make income, etc. And, like how money works, how tax works, and all that. For somebody was at the age of 11, 12, like me back then, I didn't know that, because especially in Asian culture, our parents always force us to, get good grades in school, then go
Hmm.
into, a good uni, then get a
Yeah.
degree, then get a job, and then, and then you go from there. Nobody actually teach you how tax work, how to leverage OPM, other people's money, all of that sort of creative stuff you can do in business. And business is something that very risky, very scary. You get the, I don't know, tricked by people, and then people use you. You can end up in jail. All that sort of stuff that parents, tell us when we were
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
Kids. So I guess the turning point for me was when I started reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's when I was like, okay, so again, like, if the rich dad can do it, so can I.
Hmm.
And why do I have to work 9 to 5, earning 50K a year, which will gradually, obviously increase, but it doesn't make me rich. It doesn't, it just kind of keep me survive, I guess, or like,
Yeah.
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 So,
Like I really like that because personally, that was Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's one of the earlier books that I read that started helping me, I guess, open up my mind a bit more as well about
mhm,
what sort of paths you can go down in life and what's worth putting all your energy into when you're looking long term.
mhm.
What sort of influences did you have to read books like that when you were so young, like when you were just 11 or 12? Were they given by family members or friends, or is it just like general curiosity that led you to find the book yourself?
I would say 50% comes from my mom,
Okay.
who would buy me books. She was the one that teach me how, for example, very simple stuff, how bank interest works. So
Right. Okay.
every New Year, Chinese New Year, we receive lucky money.
Yeah.
And obviously my mom collected it. I didn't keep anything. But then
Yeah.
she would keep like a logbook of how much it is in total. And she would act like a bank.
Okay.
So I can withdraw from it. So if I need money for something, I can tell her, hey, mom, I need $2 or
Yeah.
something, for example. And then we will do the whole balance sheets, like beginning balance and then the ending balance, how much I would draw. And because this is a mom bank, I have to tell her why I need the $2 as well. Like,
Yeah.
I want to buy candy or whatever. And then she would teach me how percentage, like bank interest work, as in, say, there's 2% a year, and then, divided by 12. So how much you get per month. So I
Hmm.
guess when I look around my classroom at school back then, I can quite confidently say nobody in my class know how bank interest work. I
Yeah.
was 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I start to love math as well. My stepdad was the first person that taught me how negative number works, because I was like, hey dad, if I have $2, how do I get three and then have -1 in my bank account?
Yeah.
And he's the one that, say, okay, instead of thinking of money, maybe think of apples. Like if you have 2 apples and you want three, so you have to borrow one from me, and therefore you
Mm,
owing one. So that's where I feel like math becomes so interesting for me. And then how
yeah.
money works becomes so interesting. So I guess it starts from primary school. And yes, my mom, she was a businesswoman. We were quite successful back then in Vietnam as well. She had like an import export company for a few years, and she always bought books about businesses that she thought was helpful to me, and she bought the whole series of Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I
Okay.
was very grateful for, because I started reading it and then I got kind of sucked into it. Like, this is how money works. This is how the cash flow. This is what analysis. This is, you know, the things that they don't teach in school.
So I
Yeah.
want to talk about that love for math, and because I know you mentioned you did banking as well.
Hmm.
Was that the reason you went into banking, and how was your overall experience with banking compared to, doing the entrepreneurial sort of side of things?
Oh, banking and entrepreneurial. Very different, because in banking, no matter how high I go, I still work for somebody. Even
Mm,
as a CEO of a bank, I still work for somebody. So, okay, so let's go back to that whole 10 years in adult industry. So I was working in a strip club and a brothel.
yeah.
I'm not sure if your audience want to hear about the background story.
Well, no, I think everything leads to how Mochi Donuts came about. So everything is important. So yeah, I think it's definitely something we should go into.
I don't think this has anything to do with donuts though. But how I evolve as a person, I guess, because I
Yeah.
learned a lot from everything I do. I don't just, I guess I don't just go to work just to make money and whatever, but I do actually go to work to see how other people run their business.
Right.
So I was in a strip club for 10 years. I was starting as a bartender, and then I become the person in the office, and then I went back down to the floor, become the floor manager, and that lasts, I would say, more than 10 years actually. So then I learned the business inside out,
Right.
how it works, how hospitality works, how to deal with customer or staff, and especially in such an environment, there's a lot of turbulence there, because people can get drunk, people can do drugs, you have to deal with the police, you have to deal with the
Yeah.
council and everything. So I learned a lot from that. It's like really like a lot of lessons I can learn from that, business
Mm,
wise. And I guess after 10 years of doing that, because it's not my passion, I don't have passion for alcohol and dancing and, the nightclub lifestyle.
yeah.
I was thinking, well, maybe I would switch 180-degree and go do something completely serious, like banking, for
Yeah.
example. And that's when I applied to, for a job with the bank. And
Right.
I was in commercial loan bank. Commercial loan team, specifically for construction loan.
Okay.
So we deal with a lot of big loans, from 2 million to 120 millions. And the kind of customer that we interact with is very different as well, which taught me a lot of lessons as well. How do we draft contracts, and, the deal that they made, that the managers make with the clients, and, the things that they talk about in the office. And even though I don't deal with them directly, I still learned a lot from that,
Mm,
like what kind of customer they are, etc., etc. Because obviously these customer have very high profile as well. Yeah, and then like I said, then COVID hits, and I was in Japan right before COVID hits actually, and I stumbled across this Mochi donut that at
mhm.
first I was thinking, what is this donut? Like, it's cute. It has 8 balls, and it looks a bit. It looked less dense than a normal donut.
Yeah.
So I took a bite, and it blew my mind. And unfortunately, we went back to Sydney before COVID lockdown. I wish we were locked down in Japan, but we went back to Sydney, and then the lockdown thing happened. So then now we're
Mm,
stuck in Sydney, and I was craving for that mochi donuts. and I couldn't find anywhere in Sydney that had it back then.
Yeah.
Except one day, I found this one company that sell it. I'm not gonna say who, but their business structure, in my mind, I think it was a bit weird
Right.
because they moved around every week without announcing where they would be the next week.
Okay.
So most of their customer reviews on Google was, "Where are you? I can't find you." And then
Mm.
1 star. So
Yeah.
the review goes down really quickly because of that, because nobody could find them.
Yeah.
And they only open 3 hours a week on a weekend.
Mm.
Anyway, one day I tracked them down and I found them. So I went in, I bought a package of 6, and it was quite pricey, I thought. And then I took a bite, and it's not like the one in Japan. I know in Australia it's very hard to get the same quality as, the one in Japan. I know that because of the materials or, equipment, whatever. But I was thinking I can do better than
Yeah.
this. And I can price better as well. And I can have a better business model. Like I can see so many holes in their business
Mm-hmm.
and so many friction, because as a customer, I found that it's very difficult to, there's a lot of friction when I have to buy these donuts. And as a business, I always think as a business, we have to remove this friction, because a business can only bloom if you can find what difficulties people are facing and remove it.
Yeah.
Like Uber, they remove the whole inconvenience, when customers have to deal with taxi. Ages ago, when you want to book a taxi, you have to call them, you have to wait, and you have to go through the whole customer
Yeah.
service
Yeah.
thingy. So Uber just removed all of that, and that's how they become successful. And I thought, okay, as a business, as a donut business, what should I create, or how should I, build this business model to remove all this friction? And I
Yeah.
guess from that example of me eating that donut on that weekend, I said to my business partner, I said, look, let's research on how to do this. And that's when everything started, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that's really awesome. And I love how you actually tried to find it in Australia first. And I mean, that's when you realized all the things that you could improve with providing Mochi Donuts to Australia. And I
Mm.
definitely appreciate it because it's delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that something when you said you went to Japan and you tried it? Did you do that with your family or was it with your business partner or did you meet the business partner later on?
That was with my business partner.
Right.
So
So
we traveled
you,
together, and he was living in Japan for 5 years. He's practically almost local because he could
yeah.
speak the language very fluently. And he
Okay.
was the one that drove me around. He took me to some places to eat where it's so small and it's like in the middle of nowhere.
Hmm.
Like, and the menu doesn't even have picture. It's just Japanese words that I
Yeah.
didn't understand. I still don't understand. I'm learning Japanese, but it's so difficult. So he was like my tour guide, and
Mm.
he took me to all these local places. And then he said, "Hey, by the way, try these donuts." And then he bought these donuts, and I ate it, and yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's awesome. I unfortunately haven't been like the times I've been to Japan, I don't think I've been to a place where I can just order without any pictures or any English. So I definitely
yeah.
do want to experience. Would you say it's like quite different when you go to a restaurant that's super authentic? Did you find differences in the service or like the flavor?
I wouldn't say differences in service. I think their customer service level is very high
Yeah.
constantly. Even if you go to, say, a very old rundown place, you can tell that it's run by a family. You
Hmm.
can see the old father chopping meat and then the mom just, carrying stuff. Their customer service level is still great.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I wouldn't say there's any difference. The only difference is how convenient it is to order food in Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe I should
Yeah.
hook you and my business partner up so he can take you to Japan and show you all these places.
Yeah. I mean
um,
that sounds perfect.
yeah, but the food, it's different. Like for example, so the customer service level wise is very pretty much the same everywhere you go in Japan, I would say. But the food choices, I would say, is different in a sense where in tourist place they put less adventurous kind of food,
Right.
whereas it's say at the yakiniku or those skewers place with the authentic one with like the Japanese one, you can have like intestine, you can have beef tongue, you can have you can have all sort of a bit more exotic and more adventurous and nicer
Yeah.
as well, I would
Yeah.
say. Whereas the tourist is more to catering different palates and different tastes. So it's a bit different. I'm drooling right now thinking about food in
Yeah, you're talking
Japan.
about the beef tongue. Like,
I
yeah, I mean, beef
know.
tongue's one of the ones where I think because I had it when I was very young.
Mm,
Nowadays, when I eat with people who like have never tried it and they're shocked,
mm,
like
mm, mm.
I'm always trying to like, I'm like, wait, it's not that weird. Like, it's just so delicious. But like, I
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
understand if you've never eaten it your whole life, then it can come across a bit unusual. Since you've
I
traveled so
yeah.
much, what's the most exotic or like the food that surprised you the most when you before you ate it, and then how's that experience?
Oh, the most surprise. As an Asian, I wouldn't say I eat everything, but I do have a large range of food that I try. You mean the food that freak me out or just
Yeah, like it freaked you out first, and maybe you were pleasantly surprised, or maybe it was, like what you expected when you first saw it.
I got a feeling it has something to do with Japan, but I don't
Right.
remember what it is. There's so many things that I try in Japan that it may not look that great. For example, kane miso, the crab, the brain in the crab.
Oh,
When
right.
you open the
Okay.
crab, there's like a brain part.
Yeah, yeah,
It looks it looks muddy. It looks gray and brown. But I already know that crab brain tastes nice because I
right.
try Singaporean chili crab and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But the Japanese kind of crab, it looks different. But then when I taste it, it's amazing. Like
right.
it's like you
Okay.
taste a whole ocean in your mouth. So yeah, I wouldn't say it freaked me out, but it surprised me still. Like
Yeah,
my brain already knew this is gonna taste good, but then when I taste it, it's on a whole different level.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I need to give that a go. I don't think I've tried the Japanese crab brain, but I'll make a
yeah.
note
You
to
need to
give that a
go
go.
to so for seafood, you need to go to Sapporo, the north of Japan. It's great. Like the king crab, the leg is huge. And then you
Yeah.
try the crab here, you think, okay, this is how crab tastes like. But the crab in Japan, they are sweet. Like they not sweet like sugar sweet, but ocean kind of sweetness. It's so
Hmm.
fresh and it's so so good. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Besides, it's so
Yeah.
fresh and it's so good. You gotta try it.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to try it. And before I get too hungry, might go back to banking for a second.
Okay. Sure.
So, while you were doing the banking job, were you
Mhm.
still always looking for opportunities to do something outside of the 9 to 5? Or had was it more comfortable for you doing the banking job at some points where you're like, this is, easier because you don't need to think about things to change? There's a much clearer structure. And obviously, you said you were already had that love for math from an early age,
Mhm.
which would have helped a lot with that. So, what was your sort of thinking whilst you were doing that?
I would say, no matter what job I was doing, either in hospitality or in banking, I had always thought about what else I can do, at
Okay.
least on the side. So the idea of having a business, being an entrepreneur, has always been in me. So even though I work for somebody else, I still look for different opportunities. And I guess that's when I started learning how to trade Forex
Right.
because I'm the kind of person that don't like relying on one source of income. I don't believe in working for somebody for 30, 40 years until I retired and then get all I can get and then move to a retirement village because to
Yeah.
me, that's not living. It might work for somebody else. I'm not saying it's wrong because I know there are people in my circle who are completely happy going to work, knowing how their day is going to be like because they like predictable things. They like to live a predictable life.
Yeah.
And is stress-free, is peaceful. There's a nice side of it that they are drawn into. Whereas for me, I don't like peaceful. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. I don't like constant, like a straight line
Mm,
lifestyle.
yeah.
I like for it to be more adventurous, more up and down, more lessons, things that makes me feel alive. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't like relying on one source of income. And I especially prefer if that source of income doesn't come from me working 9 to 5. So I guess I've always been looking for what else I can do. Even with Mochi Donuts, like it's not my, it's not gonna be my only business. I'm
Yeah.
always, even in Mochi Donuts, I'm also looking for what else I can do. What's next?
Mm,
What's my next step? What is my next company? What is the next thing that I can? Basically, I'm building
yeah.
my own empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't tie myself down to just one project or one company or one job.
Yeah. Okay. And with the Forex, just a couple of questions on that. Is was there a certain like teacher you found online or like certain channel that you watched? Because I remember you saying you taught yourself. Were there certain resources that really helped you learn it? And do you still like how much time do you still put into it nowadays?
I did find some teachers, but I don't like the way they do things.
Right.
Just like business, there's no specific one path that lead you to success. There's so many ways to do things. And I did found a few teachers, but I dropped them very early on.
Right.
And then I guess that's where, I learned a few lessons and then I'm like, okay, so this is how I should do it because my trading style is very different from their trading style.
Okay.
And the way I understand the market is also very different from the way they understand the market. I guess another thing about me is that I don't like complicated things. So if somebody
Okay.
tell me you need to draw this line, you need to watch this for, the last 10 years, how the trend is, etc., it's too complicated for me. I
Yeah.
like it when it's simple. So, and I believe that sometimes things succeed when it's done in a simple way.
Okay.
So I guess for trading, I found a simple way to understand it and I implemented it and it has proven, to be right. And I actually, a part of the money that I got from the Forex was what helped me got my first apartment.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Congrats.
thank you. It was ages ago, but it was
Yeah.
something, it's proven that
Mm,
I've done it right.
yeah.
Regarding nowadays, I don't put much time into Forex anymore because if I compare the, how do I say it, the return of my invest, if I
Mm,
compare, the rates of, of return, business actually earns me more.
right.
So I like to do things efficiently as well. So instead of putting money in real estate, you know, which is proven that you can earn income over the time,
Yeah.
but it takes too long for me. If it takes too long or if it's give me really little, return on investment, I'd rather not do it.
Yeah.
So I'll look for things that will help me make my money more efficiently.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I will never trade Forex again. It's something in the background, but right now I'm focusing my business
Yeah.
more.
That Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And in terms of you saying how you really like the simple strategy, something that you know works and something that's not overcomplicated,
Hmm.
the fact that it helped you buy your first apartment, that proves it works. So have you ever considered actually teaching Forex, like your strategy or like your sort of
Um,
mindset?
to be honest, I have taught a few people how to do it,
Okay.
and it gave me a lesson. So I have learned that no matter how much I try to push someone to do something, if they don't have the passion for it, or if they are not curious enough to learn about it, I'm basically wasting my time.
Hmm.
So I have set people down at my own workplace. I have set them down. I have shown them this is what I do, just buying and selling, and this is how it works. And money, market goes up and down. It's Forex. It's not like, I don't know, stocks that goes completely zero and all your money loss.
Yeah.
Forex is just a pair of currency.
Yeah.
Either one goes up, the other goes down, or vice versa.
Mm.
So in my mind, it's super simple to understand. So I sat people down and then I told them what I do or what I did. I think about 3 or 4 people from my old workplace. And guess what? None of them do it. I told them,
Right.
what about you open, a demo account that you have $50,000 fake money, and then you just start buying and selling and see how it works, because you have to do it. You can't just listen to me telling you all the theories, but then you don't know how it works.
Yeah.
For me, I think the best ways for me to learn is to do it myself. So I told them, go do it yourself. And I was very excited for them to try it and do it themselves. I was so
Yeah.
passionate about teaching them. I even gave one person one of my favorite trading book I got from Singapore, actually.
Okay.
The author is Adam Khoo. I really love his writing style. It's so easy to understand. And so I gave this person my book, which has notes and, my handwriting in the book. And I asked them, have you started reading? Is there anything you don't understand? And guess what? They lost my book.
Wow.
So, so it was a very, I wouldn't say painful, but disappointing lesson that I learned. And this
Yeah.
was more than 10 years ago, that no matter how much I want to teach people, and I was actually very passionate of sharing, how I do it. And I guess because I have so much joy from doing it, and I want to show people, hey, you can learn, you can earn, extra money by doing this too.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking them to pay me. I'm teaching them for free. I told
Yeah.
them to get a demo account. I don't work for these brokers. I
Mm.
told them you can go and open an account with any broker. So basically, they're free to do anything they want with my knowledge.
Yeah.
But none of them did it.
Mm.
And yeah, and that's something that I learned about humanity, that I guess I'll just sit here, and if somebody come to me and ask me question, then I can tell them. But if I actively approach somebody and say, hey, this is how, get a fish, but then they don't want to do it, then there's no point.
So that sort of lesson that you said, just learning about human nature, like how is that? How have you seen similar things happen in more of the business world? So, like, have you come across certain things where you've been wanting to give your time and, people have not been appreciating what you've given them, but like when they actually come to you, you've seen like much bigger success from that? Like, has anything like that come across for you in the business world?
Yeah, definitely. Because I've been dealing with quite many people over the past few years, I would say. There are people who came to us, I say us as in me and my business partner, to, I don't know, pitch their idea or ask for advice, etc. And the thing is, we have learned is that, I guess for me, I learned to let go. I will
Okay.
tell them my idea or what I think about what they're doing, and then I let go. I don't, I used to be very caring, I would say, in the
Mm.
business world. I used to be very caring. I used to, you know, check up on people and be like, hey, how you doing? And this and that. But nowadays, I learn to let go in a sense where I say what I want to say, but then if they want to do it or not, it's up to them. Because end of the day, we are all adults, and how I run my business is very different from how they run their business. And I
Mm.
guess that's where businesses kind of differentiate themselves, because of the leaders.
Mm.
I'm not saying, that they have to always follow me to be successful or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, we do things very differently. And I've learned that I shouldn't expect anything,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. And if it works for them, doing the things the way they want, great. I'm happy for them. End of the day, I like to support everyone, but at the same time, for my own sanity, I guess,
Mm.
I learned to expect less from
Mm.
people.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
then I also learned to have trust within the group of people that I have built great connection with.
Mm.
So there are people in my close circle of business friends whom we have so much trust, or like between me and my business partner, we have trust that we always have each other back, even though, sometimes we may not reply to each other. Like I have some friend, not from Sydney, but we do businesses. We in the same business world, and when she texts me, I was too busy to reply. So, or vice versa. And then 3-4 days later, we reply. But then there's no harm, there's no anger, there's no resentment towards each other. You know how like some friends, when you text them and you don't reply them within a time frame, they will like
Yeah.
like angry at you. They were like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
you ignore me, and etc. And then you cause an argument. Whereas
Yeah.
this kind of people, this group of people that I have, we have this great trust that we don't ignore each other. We don't, we don't just drop each other. Even though you don't reply to me for a week, the next week you reply to me, everything is back to normal. Not back to normal, but everything is
Mm.
normal. Yeah. So yeah, I do have that group where I have a lot of trust, and then and then all the other people that come to me, if I don't have that trust yet, then I don't expect anything from them.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And in terms of, I'm sure like between you and that small circle of friends where you're all really busy and that's, part
Mm-hmm.
of the reason why you can't reply straight away. And I know you also mentioned how when you've always been doing things on the side whenever you're doing one main venture, one main job.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you found a way to manage your time? And because you're always looking out for new opportunities while you're obviously building the current thing you're doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, how do you manage your time and energy?
I guess write down a list of what's more important. And then, okay, write down a list of what you need to do. So I have a list of what I need to do. And then I rate it from 0 to 10, like how
Okay.
important it is. And those that are rated 9, 8, 10, I have to do it. And I have to find the time to do it as soon as possible or whatever. And things that are below it, like 6 to 1, I will delegate it.
Hmm.
So I'm not doing everything in the business. Like for example, today I don't have to be in the office. I don't have to talk to staff or interact with anybody because I have someone to, help me with that side.
Yeah.
So I guess delegation is very important. Which I struggle a lot in the past, where I don't trust anyone to do as a good job as I do. But then I also learned that I need to have some trust and step back and teach other how to do it. So I delegate my task to someone else. And then I have free time to connect with more people from something else, like, from a different project, or even find time to fill my schedule with things I love to do. Like, for example, my music classes, my dancing
Yeah.
classes, things like that, my ice skating classes that I do on
Yeah.
Monday. So it's not all about work, but it's also what makes me happy. Because business alone, yes, is my passion, but I don't think it's what makes me 100% happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's awesome how you have classes for ice skating, dancing, singing, and like speech coach. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, doing all of these together, which is what you're interested, happy, and passionate about. I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Quickly on that trading book, the one that you said was
Mm.
your favorite trading book. What's the name of that book? Just so we can put it in the show notes if people are interested in checking it out.
Oh, I know it's by Adam Khoo, and I know it's purple in color.
Right.
It's very long ago. Hold on. Trading book. Let me look it up. Trading book by Adam Khoo. Secret of Forex Millionaires. No,
Okay.
wait. That's
Secret.
Yong Hee. That's different. I have this book as well. It's purple.
Like you read this one as well.
Yeah, I read
Yeah.
Secrets of Forex Millionaires. So Adam Khoo, last name is KHO. So if you want to look him up later.
KHOO. All right. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'll check him out.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
his first book that I read was actually How to Study Better. I was
Oh,
in Malaysia and I had struggled with the Malaysian language because I only had 3 years to learn it.
yeah.
And because I was in a private school, not international, I still have to pass Malaysian language class. So we
Okay.
have to write essays and, like literature class where you have to read, a Malaysian essay and you have to talk about it, or you have to write your own Malaysian essay.
Yeah.
And Adam Khoo first book about how to study faster helped me because it helped me how to do the map, the brain mapping thing, where you
Okay.
write a note and then you kind of, you make a whole map and then you just remember that map.
Right.
It's like writing my own study notes in a
Okay.
more in a way where my brain can understand it scientifically, according to the
Yeah.
science, like how my brain
Yeah.
understands it, which is very interesting because back in Vietnam, the way we learned it is we memorize everything. We read it like 100 times a day, especially we have to wake up early in the morning at 4 a.m. And then
Oh
we
wow.
read everything for
Yeah.
like 2 hours. And then 6 a.m. you go to exam and then you write everything that you can remember. And then by 8 o'clock, when you finish the exam, you forget everything.
Yeah.
So that's the old Asian way to learn things. But Adam Khoo has a very scientific way to learn things that, yeah, it was very interesting. And then that's when I was like, okay, like I read the whole book without any issue. And English was not my first language.
Yeah.
So I had no difficulty reading his book. And then that's when I started reading more and more of his book. And then I found this Forex book. And I really like it because I remember I wrote down a lot of notes in the book, like what is more important, what to do. I highlighted it and all that. It's an old book. A lot of things probably will still work because Forex is Forex. It's money. It's,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But I would say the best way to learn is probably do it yourself because I find that I can have, well, I do have a few business coaches as well. And I can have different people telling me, this is the way you do things, etc. But end of the day, I know my way best. And if I fail, then that's another lesson I need to learn.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of failing, I guess. Like I like to go in and do it myself with the
Hmm.
support of others,
Yeah.
rather than
Okay.
blindly following others' advice because I find it's very frustrating to just do it blindly like that.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Like whenever you do something yourself, well, you're forced to learn much quicker as well, rather
Mm,
than when it comes to like watching other people or doing the theory, like just jumping into it. It's always the best way to learn, in my opinion.
yeah.
Just before we continue, because I know we're going a bit over time, like I just want to be conscious of your time. Yeah, like how much more time do you have? Do you?
Maximum half an hour.
Okay, yeah, I'll try go to the most important questions. So,
Hmm. Time flies.
um,
It's great.
yeah, yeah, because really interesting chat. And okay, so I've actually walked past because I know you mentioned like the Mochi Donuts office, and in
Hmm.
Crow's Nest, I've actually walked past this store that says Mochi Donuts, but it's not a store that you can buy from. So I was wondering, like, is that like a factory or something? Because I've always been curious, like, is this going to turn into a store one day or something?
It's our secret base.
That's top secret information.
No, that's where our production stuff happens. So that's where we make the donuts. And I think the sign said Mochi Donuts delivery only.
Yeah.
So that's where we receive most of our supplies, and that's where the donuts come from. We don't plan to sell there, not anytime soon. So yeah, so for your first half of the question, yes, it is where we make the donut. That's the
Yeah.
factory. But for the second part, no, we're not gonna sell there.
Okay. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And what are your plans in the next few years for Mochi Donuts? Because I know that now you've got stores all over Sydney,
Hmm.
especially like a lot of the train stations, like North Sydney or
Hmm.
Chatswood. Every time I'm there, like I see the Mochi Donuts. So,
Hmm.
like, yeah, what are your plans over the next few years?
Well, my plan is to be world domination. No, but the practical plan, serious one, would be we're gonna open two more in Sydney in the very near coming future. Actually, mid July, Bondi Junction,
Yeah.
or Westfield Bondi Junction. We're gonna have one there near
Okay.
Coles, and we're working on another one in the city. I can't tell you yet. Well,
Mm,
I guess I
okay.
can, but it's not confirmed, so I don't want to just give out misleading information. I know
Yeah.
Bondi Junction is already confirmed,
Yeah.
but there's another one in Sydney, and I have so many interesting things in the pipeline. So many interesting things. I'm actually flying to Melbourne tomorrow for two important meetings. So to cut it short, yes, I'm opening in Melbourne as well in the next, I would say, 2-3 months, depending
Yeah.
on how quick I can get the equipment and how quick I can start the kitchen and everything. So Melbourne is definitely confirmed that we're gonna open a few in Melbourne to start with, at least 3 to start with. And then besides that, I'm also having this licensing partnership going on
Okay.
with somebody. You know about this brand, but I can't tell you yet.
Yeah.
I will tell you once everything is signed. I
Okay.
can't tell you beforehand, but I have, yeah, so very exciting things happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely we want Mochi Donuts to be bigger. We want to grow. We want to also have this Mochi Donut culture in a sense where, it's fun. It's not just about eating donuts, but it's also we like to have fun interaction with our customers. So I'm looking for fun ways to interact with our customers, what we can do, what is the next thing, what sort of activities we can do, like you don't just come and buy donuts from us and give us money and then that's it. We don't see each other until the next time you come. Like we
Yeah.
I want to keep that connection happening where you buy something from us and then you want to have some fun with us. So that's what I'm working towards.
Yeah.
So it's less transactional, but it's more like a family, like a culture thing, like a family thing, like we want to be, I guess we say like a family, not like family household thing, but if you think of donuts, you think of us, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And it's not just about making donuts, but I'm also working on donuts and charity.
Okay.
So, things I especially have a very soft spot for children and pets. Even in my personal life, sometimes I play games with my friend and then I stream. And on my stream, I put charities up. So I have been doing that for the past 6 months. So,
Okay.
for Movember, for men with mental health. And then since January, I have been donating quite to a few charities like children and pets, things like that. I can't tell you exactly what it is. It's all on my streaming platform. But yeah, so I like to giving back to the community, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can tell you, for example, Movember, Make a Wish in December, and then Mini Kitty Commune, so for cats, and then
Right.
Child Abuse Prevention Service in Sydney, Doggy Rescue, Foster Future Australia, which is for teenagers in Australia who want to go to school and they're in trouble situation, for example. So yeah, I like to help people or animals that are helpless because they're small or they're not old enough, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there? I know that those two charities you said for children and pets, because they're more helpless. Like that's why you want to help them. Was there anything that's like started your passion to want to help children and pets, or has it just like always you've just always like felt that want?
And this is another conversation where we need another bottle of wine. So I'm gonna be truthful because this is what makes me who I am today.
Yeah.
I grew up in a domestic violence family.
Right.
So I would say I was abused physically and mentally as I grew up, all the way until I was 18, pretty much.
Right.
And that was why I was very happy to be overseas, to be away from home. A lot of people ask me, oh, do you miss Vietnam? Do you miss your home? Do you miss family? I would honestly say no. I can go back as a tourist. I love my home country. I love the food. I love the people. But it doesn't feel like home for me. Family doesn't feel like family for me. I don't know how to, like I'm come from a perspective where I don't know what family feels like.
Right. Yeah.
Because I feel like my so my dad was an alcoholic and was basically never around my life. My parents divorced when I was really small, like I think 6 months old.
Yeah.
And my mom with all the stress and everything, and obviously with the Asian culture, I know I've been blaming Asian culture a lot, but the way that they discipline children is they yell at them and then they beat them up, and some would add some like swear words and like kick the kids down mentally, etc. And I've got all of that.
Right.
And every time I go back to Vietnam and if I see a parent shout at a kid on the street, it kind of make me want to rage. Things that look so normal for everyone on the street to see, I don't think that's normal. I don't think
Right.
it's normal to yell at your kid like that, to beat them up until they surrender. I don't think that's the right way to discipline your kid. I don't believe in, domestic violence. Obviously, nobody should believe in that. And I guess therefore, growing up, I have this soft spot for kids who are from that kind of family, who from family where, parents don't attend to them enough, parents who are not caring enough, parents who don't have that passion, I guess, don't have that patience to discipline the kids. Yeah, so it comes from my past. It comes from my childhood. So to answer your question, what pushed me to, want to care for kids and pets, that was the reason why.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I think it's super honorable that, now you make efforts to, whether it's through charity or just like in your daily life, to help people that you feel that, when you were younger, you would have wanted to be helped that way as well. So yeah, I think that's super honorable of you, and it's really good to see. Moving a little bit back to Mochi Donuts and how you have a lot of locations now. What would you say has been most fulfilling about, building the brand in Sydney and, expanding soon out of Sydney and just creating the team that you have?
What would be the most fulfilling?
Yeah, most fulfilling about, being able to start Mochi Donuts, which is something that, everyone in Sydney can now enjoy and people know the name. And like obviously having a team that, you can dictate the way your team runs. As you said before, like a lot of things you try to do is spread positivity within the team. Even if it's through teaching them, you always try to be positive. So like, yeah, what's been most fulfilling about being able to create that?
I'm a Taurus, by the way.
Right.
And Taurus is all about food and money.
Okay.
So my passion involves food and money. And I guess the fulfilling part is I like these donuts. I love my donuts. I think they taste great. And if I can let everyone, know that, hey, these donuts taste great, it's healthier as well. It's only half calories of a normal donuts. And if, because I do realize that I have great products, going on. And one of your camera is.
Yeah, sorry about that. I
That's
think it
okay.
just. There we go.
So I would say I'm very strict with the kind of quality, that I produce as well, of my products quality as well. I'm very strict with that. So I'm actually very happy with how things turn out. So I guess the feeling of being able to create a nice product and then running a successful business from that's what fulfill me. And obviously having staff who have been with me for years now, they also evolve. I see them evolve. I see them learning a lot from that. We sort of have like a little work family as well,
Yeah.
where I trust them. Like they know even the number to my safe. They know that, and they can contact me anytime. I can contact them anytime, and to have that sort of community is great. I think it's very fulfilling. It's very, and also like it's not just about me and my achievement, but it's the team effort. So if I can share that around to people, and I see them being happy from that, they are happy that we're evolving, we are happy that they are evolving, everyone is learning and upgrading. It's very uplifting. That's what is fulfilling as well. So it's more like yes, I can do this, but at the same time I can also create this, and I can also lift these people up. I can also bring people with me and lift them up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I love that. To finish off, I wanted to ask two questions that I ask every guest. And the first one was, if you had to live your life through the words of one single quote, what would it be?
I remember it was said by Sir Richard Branson. I don't exactly remember word by word, but it's something like say yes first and figure it out later. I think it starts with if somebody offer you an amazing opportunity, say yes and learn how to do it later. I think it's something like that. But in my mind, it kind of summarizes down to say yes first, figure it out later, which is what happened with Vince Vaughn, for example. I was offered, an opportunity to speak to Vince Vaughn, I say yes. I brought my donut in. I don't know if they were accepted. Actually, the team at Power, what is it? Power of Success?
Power of success. Yeah.
Yeah, told me you can't bring donut on the stage. And I
Hmm.
said, okay, not a problem. But during the conversation with Vince Vaughn, he brought it up. He said, oh, I would love to try your donut. And I said, great.
Yeah.
And somebody from the audience, God bless him, he brought the donut on stage. So
Yeah.
everything happened. Like, it's great. It's phenomenal. So I say yes first, and then I figure it out later. Somebody offered me a chance to go to America to meet these people and whatever. I say yes first, and I figure it out later. I put it down my
Hmm.
calendar. I say what day, which day, because this is on my list to do. It's number 9 or 10. Like the
Hmm.
ranking is high because I'm gonna meet these really high profile people. So I'm gonna go do it. I don't know what's happening, in that month, but I will keep this day to do it. So
Hmm.
there are a few opportunities that came up this day for me, and I basically just say yes.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. Like, especially the fact that they said you're not meant to bring it in, but you brought it with you just in case. And of course,
Yeah,
like what came about that was such an awesome moment with him
it's
trying
so
it.
good. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm actually very surprised that that were you already in a Discord group before that, or?
No, so like basically what happened was I just wanted to make the post about it because I thought it was like a cool moment, like talk about the Power of Success event and then, you know, obviously I've always liked Mochi Donuts, but I
Mhm.
had no idea about who was behind it, right? So when you
Mm,
came up on stage and I was like, oh wow, like I did not expect that because you were one of the surprise guests as well, like
yeah,
what wasn't named before. So
yeah.
I just thought it was really cool. And then I was trying to figure out, okay, like, so who was it on stage? Because I have the video, but didn't wasn't able to find your details from like the emails or anything. So then, yeah, that's when I like came across the Discord group because I was just like looking on the social media, and then yeah, so that's how it came about. And then, of course, like I had so many questions about Mochi Donuts. So I just thought it would be awesome if I could like figure out and talk to the person behind it and everything that's led up to Mochi Donuts today.
Well, that's wonderful because you know what? The link to the Discord group is no longer on our social media. So you actually
Right.
got it right before we deleted it.
Yeah.
And with
Just
the,
in time,
I
yeah.
still remember I was sitting in the city. I was having like a coffee in the city with my friends. It was at night, and I received some like a message from Discord, and I'm like, holy shit! How did somebody find me on Discord? Because my name on Discord is not Rita, or there's nothing to
Yeah.
do with Mochi Donuts. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe they were in the Mochi Donuts group, and
Yeah.
that's how you found me. But you actually found it from Instagram, and right before we
Yeah, I
deleted it,
think
actually.
TikTok right before it was deleted, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. Perfect timing, I guess.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and the last question I wanted to ask you was if you could reach everyone in the world for 30 seconds, what would you say to them?
I would say when things gets tough or when you have doubts, go within
Hmm.
because every answer that you're looking for are already available from within. If you're looking for love, it should come from within. If you're looking for happiness, it should come from within. And that's a big lesson I actually learned very recently this year is to pull my energy inwards. I know it sounds very spiritual. I'm also a very spiritual person. As you can see, I have a fifth chakra on my hand. I have a lot of reminder
Right.
on my body to remind myself how I live. But yeah, so
Yeah.
the fifth chakra stands for, being truthful, being vocal, truthful, creative, being open to listen to ideas and things like that. Things to do with communication.
Yeah.
And for me, the big lesson I learned is go within. So, because the happiness that you found from within is one that lasts forever. You
Hmm.
cannot find happiness in someone else. You cannot expect love from someone else until you have that within yourself. So if you want a better life, if you want to be happier, whatever, go within. Love yourself.
All right. That's
Yeah.
wonderfully said. Thank you so much.
You
Well, yeah, Rita, thank you so much. Oh yeah, just last thing before we finish off, is
Mhm.
there anything you'd like to tell audiences? Any places you'd like to direct them?
Any places I want to direct them,
Yeah.
go buy my
Or
donuts.
just
Just kidding.
okay.
Any place I want to direct them, I'm not too sure. Like what sort of place specifically?
Well, I mean, like digitally or online, if there's anything that you want them to know about, like where, like maybe places they can find some more information about Mochi Donuts or about yourself. Like, is there anything you wanted me to note down?
So recently, I just created a personal page on Instagram.
Okay.
It's called Rita Kim Official. I guess Mochi Donuts page is somewhere where you can ask anything about the donuts, like how to order, what are the flavors next week, etc. Or even if you just come in and, I don't know, just share something with the donuts. We would love to hear from our customers. But if they would want to talk to me specifically, they can also contact me on Instagram directly on my page.
Yeah.
And look, I may not be able to answer immediately because I actually have so many unread message in there.
Yeah.
But I'm very open minded. I would love to hear people's idea or opinion or any story. Even if you want to tell me, my cat is sick and I'm very sad. I'll be there. I'll be there to, because I have two cats myself. But yeah, but like I'll be there to be with you. Yeah. So if anything you want to talk to me, then yes, you can find me on Instagram, and then
All
we can
right.
go from there. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll put that in the notes. And yeah, thank you so much.